Hello and welcome. My name is Ryan Belmore. I am the owner and publisher of What's Up Noop. This is one-on-one, our conversations with the candidates, and we are getting our second week of conversations going here. And just a quick preview coming up this week, we have interviews with candidates for Middletown Town Council, candidates for General Treasurer, Secretary of State, Attorney General, Governor, District 12, Portsmouth Town Council, Senate District 11, Senate District 12, Senate District 13, Congressional District 2. So we are all over the place this week and next with candidates. All in all, this month we'll do about 70 of these. You can find them on whatsupnoop.com where you can watch them. You can also find them on whatsupnoop.com where you can listen to them. We have taken these and made them into podcasts so you can listen to them while you're on the go, while driving, walking, whatever you may be doing. Those are all available on whatsupnoop.com. The podcasts are also available wherever you listen to your podcasts. Today we are in Middletown, and we are starting right at the top of the ballot for nonpartisan town council, and that is Tom Welch, who serves as vice president currently on the town council. And good morning, Tom.
Good morning. How are you doing, Ryan?
Good. Tom, how long have you been on Middletown Town Council now?
Almost 2 years.
All right.
Yeah. First term.
One term. Looking at it, and we have nine candidates running for 7 seats. You know, back in June, all the candidates declared their candidacy. What made you decide to throw your hat in the ring again?
Good question, because I said it wasn't going to. I said it was going to be one and done. I think probably the biggest reason is school regionalization and the West Main Road project. Been a long time coming, and I want to see it through. I want to make sure it gets the best chance at passing. And I've been involved with the school building committee for the last year. I've been on that, and it needs to happen. So couldn't walk away yet.
Let's stick for those who haven't been paying close enough attention, the West Main Road project.
Yep. So let's see. West Main Road has been open property for quite a while, and ideas have been kicked around as far as what it should encompass. And probably the biggest rub that I see or listening to people are that they don't want to see another hotel, and that they don't want to see the green space taken away that is on the west side of the town. Both legitimate. So we'll take the hotel piece first. And trying to think of the guy now that runs not Newport this week, but it is for, tourism. Can't think of his name. Maybe I'll think of it. But
Evan Smith.
Yeah. So Evan Smith was awesome. I called him out of the blue because I'm just trying to understand the whole process, whether a hotel is right for a community or space or not. And he gave me a great explanation as to if a developer wants to put a hotel in a space, then they have to do market analysis by a third party. And that then determines what the need for hotel rooms is or isn't. And he went through the numbers. I don't pretend to remember what they are, but he said there's no question that there is space in Middletown and on Aquidneck Island for more hotel space, more hotel rooms. And he broke it down. He said, you know what it is? It's not, we can show need. We can show that, yes, here's our analysis. There is, in fact, need for more hotel rooms. He said, and people, misconstrue that as saying we don't need another hotel. Well, we can show that we do need it. You may not want it. And that's fair. Everybody's open to their own opinion, whether they want a hotel or not. I look at that space. So that's one piece. And then the green space is the other. And I'm on open space and fields. And we have very, very good discussions about open space in the west side, not, being underserved as far as that goes. But so I started riding by there, different times of day, different times of night, and trying to see how much of that is actually used. A couple of kids playing basketball, and that's all I have seen. Where the Navy Lodge was on the corner, big piece of green, but nobody ever plays there. And understandably, there's no fence. I mean, it's right on West Main Road, so tough spot to use. I do know that flag football uses the fenced-in area where Potsy Field was. So, and then there's people for Potsy Field saying that that was dedicated to a veteran, and that needs to stay, which it does. There's no question about it. That's not up to the town. That has to happen. So, but there's also an adjacent piece of property that the Navy owns that I don't think anybody necessarily realized that the town has use of for recreational purposes. So the whole point of this is that I think we can use space that is there and get more people to use it, even though we're building residential areas and businesses and hotel. So I see that as only an uptick. The library gets repositioned a little bit. It opens the open space. I mean, I would love to see farmers market. Farmers market is always looking for a place to go, and brings a lot of people in. And it's the perfect spot. We'll have plenty of open green space, and also have some space inside the library to be able to move it indoors when it's inclement in the winter. Back to the hotel piece. One of the things that I think people don't get is that if we want to decide exactly what goes on that space, if we want to say, oh, we'd like a big library and we want playgrounds and a swimming pool and an ice rink, and I'm just being silly, but if we wanted to pick every little piece of it, then we would have to pay for that. And obviously the town's not in a position to finance a project like that. So the other choice is to get a developer to come in, and they need to make money too. So certainly retail space, not a big box store. People think it's gonna be a hotel, another shopping center. Absolutely not. And if you've seen any of the renderings, it's mixed use. It's affordable housing, retail space, and the hotel. And the development team has moved the hotel so it's not in such a prominent spot. If you drive up and down West Main Road, I mean, if there's any place in Middletown for a hotel, to me, that's where it goes. We are fortunate to have a ton of open space available in all of the areas. And I think, it's the middle of the city. That's where it goes. So I have no problem with it.
Now, Tom, so not to confuse myself or anybody watching, is this what has been called Middletown Center?
Yes. Okay. Yep. Middletown Center. Is it? I think of myself being a tourist and driving into town. It's not like a little town in Vermont, where you come off the winding hill and all of a sudden it's the church and the town green and a gazebo. It's not that, but it will have some sort of monument so you kind of get that you're there. It's not, I wouldn't say it's the hub of Middletown, but it is pretty much the center of the, city spot.
And it looks like last week, Matt Sheely on the Town of Middletown's website said negotiations continue. People can read all about that on middletownri.com. But it sounds like the 15 acres, whatever is going to go there, is still being worked out. Nothing is definitive yet.
Absolutely true. So it's still, I'll use the Sean Brown, it's what I deal with better, nice and simple. And, there's, he explained it to me in this way. If you're building with Legos and you've got red ones, blue ones, green ones, and yellow ones, and we might say retail space is represented by yellow Legos, and we don't want as much retail space. We want more affordable housing, and and we want green space. So those are different Legos, and we put them together in a configuration that the town likes, and then it goes over to the developer, and the developer says, we can almost do that if you give us a couple more red ones. So we're not at the spot where everything is defined, but I think the solicitor is looking at ground lease, and based on the preliminary drawings, because people want to know how much money is this going to make for the town. What does the town get out of this? So they're trying to dial those numbers in to at least be able to reasonably give a fair number that the taxpayer would, or at least that would go to the town.
So that's one of your reasons or priorities for continuing the run. What are some others?
Well, certainly regionalization. Like I said, I'm on the building committee, and I did all the walkthroughs to the school. With the architects and engineers, and then I went back and did it myself. And I went in the cellars, I went on the roofs to really get a feel for what condition the schools are in. And I don't know, the regionalization is tough. They try.
Nobody has anything to say about this.
Well, I do. I certainly do. To me, it is I try to pick out some of the cons that people bring out, and they'll say that we certainly see the dollars. We see where the dollars are coming from the state. That's easy to show. But what we don't see is the educational enhancements. Show us how the educational experience for the students and the teachers is going to improve. And the problem with that is that if this thing were all to go along merrily, regionalization would get voted on in November. It gets approved. Now, next year, they appoint this new regional school committee. But that school committee is what decides what changes are made to the educational system. So it's like we as a council can't tell a future school committee that isn't even together what to do. Nor can the school committee that's in place now. They can't tell the school committee what to do. So that there's an open end. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes to say that I want to know what's going to happen. Nothing anybody can do about that. I am an optimistic person. I am a glass half full guy. So I see that anybody that's going to get involved in the school committee, regionally wise, is there for the right reason, and that it's going to be a decent election. You've got people from both communities vying for these spots, and the best will rise to the top and move us ahead. The biggest part of, and I'm trying to talk to the teachers because in my opinion, they've been pretty quiet, and it's a huge group that is severely impacted by this decision. So, there's no question that we've had budget problems with the school, but it all comes down to dollars. There's management of the dollars, but then there's dollars themselves. And what this does is allows a bunch of money to be put into the school department. Now, I can't tell you what they're going to do with it, what this regional school committee is going to do with it, but the funding is available for more teachers or programs or infrastructure or whatever it is. And that's something that neither community has a lot of right now. So brand new schools, I can't think of anything we can do any better. And again, building committee wise, plan B, there is no good ones. None. So
yeah, and we've been chatting a lot about the Newport, for Middletown voters out there, you can visit vote.ri.gov. Type in your address. You can pull up your sample ballot. On the back side, here in Middletown, you have 6 questions, 3 statewide and 3 local. And question 4 is the same in Newport and Middletown, and that's the establishment of the regional school district. And then question 5, for those just paying attention, is another school question, and that's the construction, renovation, improvement of $235 million bonds and notes. So those 2 school questions, as well as the school question in Newport, has to pass in order for all of this to move forward, just to let everybody know. But everybody should read up about it and check out the ballot questions ahead of time.
I think that's a very important point. And, again, trying to come up with, I'm not the computer guy, but piece of paper, something that we can hand out as a flyer. And you try to put as much information in there as you can so everybody understands it. But then you know what happens. You put too much information on the paper, nobody reads it. So then should you put pictures of what a new classroom could be, what it could look like? So you got to be careful there too, because anything that you print, people are going to say, hey, wait a minute, you had blue chairs in there and they're green. It's hard to put a conceptual drawing ahead. But the point you just made is probably the most important. If the the bond money for the schools and the regionalization question in Middletown and the regionalization question in Newport do not all pass, it's all for nothing. It's got to be all three, and that's got to be driven home that people. And I walked around soccer on Saturday and up at Wyatt, and there's a lot of people that don't even know it's a thing. Never mind understand the pieces of it. So I really we gotta step it up. And it's hard to do.
I've been saying I'm a little bit worried. The majority of voters are going to flip over that ballot and try to read that legalese and not really understand whether good or whether approving or rejecting what they're voting for.
Well, one of the problems with that, and we brought that same issue up to our solicitor, and the problem is that is state mandated wording. Nothing you can do about it. So, you try then to put out the voter guide that tries to break it down and explain it a little bit so that you can understand exactly what you're voting for. And I agree. We've heard that time and time again.
Because you're on the approved side of the schools, I wonder with your, you have a better understanding. You've been closer to it. What do you say to the people that are on the edge or maybe on the reject side of, why they should come over to your side, why this is important?
So if I were, my mom lives next door. She's retired. So take that person and take the person that's on a fixed income or doesn't have any kids in the school. So maybe they're not very close to it. They see the question. It's like, why don't we just fix the schools we have, or why don't I don't see why we have to spend all this money. The downside of this is, I think I'm trying to think of the words that Sean Brown used. He said this will be the single biggest, thing we can do for taxpayers in our lifetime. And the reason he says that is that you just said $235 million. That is the cost of the project. But then when you add in interest and all the fees and everything, by the time you're done paying, it's $400 million. And the state's going to pick up 80% of that. If we do nothing and we go it alone and we don't get that reimbursement, we cannot possibly, even physically, bond for enough money to fix our schools ourselves. And so the fallback is we dump a bunch of money, probably $100 million, into the high school and the middle school. But and that just that if we can get 50% reimbursement is a huge number that we're going to have to pay off for 20 years. Well, before that 20 years is over, we still have a Quidnick and Forest Avenue that were built in the late 50s. Need a ton of work. We can't afford to do it all at once. We're going to have to break it up in two pieces. And all along the way, we're going to have to continually try to limp along those other two schools for 10 years until we can put some real money into them. And it's just terribly inefficient. The cost to the taxpayer is more than double in the end. I'm not a numbers guy, but from what Sean has shown, I don't even want to guess what it would cost. So, the other rub to this is people say, well, this isn't true regionalization. And even though it's, sorry, semantics, I break it up in unification, regionalization. They tried unification before where you mix the populations of students into one school. This is regionalization, and people argue it's not true regionalization because it's a hybrid. And it's right. That's a true statement. It is a hybrid. It's two communities getting together, finding some common ground administratively, trying to be more efficient. So, someday, can it be true regionalization? Absolutely. But I don't know what that someday is. I know that the deal on the table from the state right now is stay in your own schools, build new ones, mix your administration and try to find some cost savings there. And we'll give you 80% of the cost. And just to be fair too, when people say, oh, they're going to give you 80%, well, nobody's giving us anything. There's a bunch of COVID money out there that came federally to the states, but that's our federal tax dollars. We paid that. It's not nobody won the money. And same as the state money, that's our money that typically goes to other communities. So I just think it's fair that we take the money that's available and use it to our benefit.
You mentioned Forest and Aquidneck, right?
Yes.
So from how I understand it, and I'm asking you with trying to understand it, this regional new school committee and school district, if those need to be repaired, those would come from the town. If this all passes, would come from Middletown and Newport. But on the same side, if Thompson in Newport needed to be repaired, that would come from Middletown and Newport as well.
Right. So well, just to back up a little bit, if the whole package passes this time, Forest Avenue and Aquidneck schools will be no longer be in the mix, because there'll be one elementary school which will be on the current high school site. So now we're down to two areas, three schools. But yeah, so let's say Thompson needs work. That will then be paid for as a district.
Yes.
But one point I'd like to throw out there too, in building committee, Ed Brady's co-chair, he was on in Newport side working on that project, the last rehab it went through. And he said, people don't understand that project wasn't just paint the windows and throw in a few new doors. He said heating system, that whole thing was given decades more of life. So it is not, will it be the oldest school in this mix if it goes together? Absolutely true. Yeah. So obviously the oldest school at some point will need the work first, but it is good for quite a while. It wasn't just a quick paint job.
Yeah, I guess I wanted people to understand. My point was that any school expense will be spread out throughout the two towns if
correct.
All three questions pass.
That's correct.
So, I didn't want people to get scared when you talk about all these schools that need to be repaired, because on the flip side, anything that needs to be done in Newport will also be paid for by the school district.
And that's good to understand too, because if you think about it, Newport has Rogers High already underway for a brand new school, Pell, new school plus a new addition. So they come to the table. If you were just looking at the two teams, they come to the table with pretty much new schools. Middletown has 60-plus-year-old schools. So that's why this timing is so critical. If we can build all new schools now, we both come to the game equal. We all have the newest technology, we have the newest buildings, and it's fair to get into it together.
If you're reelected, this new school and these questions pass, you're able to advocate where these cost savings go. Where would you push them to go?
One of the things, so my kids are in their late 20s, early 30s. So we all went through Middletown High in the school system when it was the changeover from when you had wood shop, metal shop, all the extracurriculars. And I'm not an educator. I'm not saying I understand the whole thing, but it seemed as though we went away from that type of learning to more college prep and trying to do, more high level courses. And I'm a landscaper. So I see businesses that I deal with and people that I talk to all the time. There is just no workers, none. And we have, obviously a boat business on the island. We have Newark, Navy, we have all these things that need, and never mind just carpenters, plumbers, electricians, all that kind of thing. So to answer your question, I would like us to be able to add more courses so that people can get a feel for blue collar jobs, not necessarily the big dollar college job. And to be fair, all my kids went to college, I did too. But as it settles out, we're almost half and half in blue collar jobs, and I think your experiences in high school are time to try this and that, and we're pushing them one way and not giving them a fair shake across the board.
Yeah, I think they called it VOTech when I went to school. All of those different career opportunities, and
right. It's
funny because while we're sitting here, I get a text from a guy who owns a construction company in Newport who can't find any help. And, if people just try calling a plumber or calling somebody to get any kind of housework done, and there's a lot of money to be made in those careers. And often these people are making more money out of school than going through 4 years. And, it's a great career way to go.
So my grandfather, plumbing and heating company. So I get it. One of the things I talked to the high school principal about, you have a career day and all these different colleges come in and they show you what they give you the whole circus of sign up with us. What I would like to see the schools do is put a giant chart on the wall that says, okay, you can go to Brown University and you can law degree, and it's going to take this many years and it's going to cost this much money. And in the end, the potential career path gets you to this job that starting today is worth X number of dollars. So it's going to take you this long to pay that off, as opposed to the guy that could go to, could get out of work and just go right landscaping and have no costs and obviously not make the money, but he's starting way earlier. And middle of the road, go to a technical school and have, be an auto mechanic, have VD pick you up at whatever number of dollars as soon as you get out of school, and just play all those numbers out so that you can see, am I really up for that? Do I love it this much that I want to be a, biomedical doctor and I'm in for it for this much time. So I'm willing to take that long road, but just to be a little more fair, dollars versus education.
Yeah. Tom, we talked about some of the challenges or big things going on in Middletown. What's some of the good things going on in Middletown that you're proud
of? Some of the good things. So one of the things I like is that the whole reason I even ran for council last time was because I was very angry about the way I think the public was being treated and heard. And so maybe people on the outside don't see it, but for me, I think the council, even though I can't point to some great thing that we've done in the last 2 years and say, we built that, whatever, just working as a group, I think it's gotten much better. And certainly no Zoom helps, this kind of thing when you're new and this is how you start, walking into the council after a number of months and seeing the looks on people's faces and the body language, all that helped tremendously. And I think with a couple of personnel changes, we've settled back down. We're being a little more reasonable. And even though, again, I can't point to something physical, I think we're moving in a very good direction that way. So
that's a good point. I will give huge kudos to Matt Sheely. If people are not, go to Town of Middletown's website, sign up for their notifications, sign up for their emails. You will know everything going on in Middletown. I get them a couple times a day, at least once a day from the Town of Middletown. I'll also take this opportunity to remind people that everybody who serves you likes to hear from you. So if you're not contacting Tom enough with emails, or you just mentioned, seeing people's faces walking in, but I'm sure you, as well as your colleagues, love to hear from people and know their opinion on things. Well,
and that is, if you back all the way up, that's kind of the whole idea. The whole idea is, I know a group of people, a group of people, and we all sit down at the table and we bring those voices forward. And if you don't tell me, then I don't know. And it is, on the one hand, I didn't realize when I first was doing all the council stuff, signing up, I put my cell phone number online. And so I'm like, who is this guy? I don't know who these people are. And then I realized somebody finally said, hey, that's your cell phone number on there, which, you know what? It is what it is, because I get people out of nowhere telling me something that I, may or may not know anything about, which is kind of neat because it helps me get a better grip on the whole picture,
Yeah. Excellent. Tom, is there anything that we did not get to that you wanted to bring up today?
I don't. Well, I'll just two ending comments. One was somebody texted me and said, "Hey, you should watch What's Up Newport. They're the interviews that they've already done. It's very interesting." So one that I watched, I couldn't stop watching was Cy, whatever his name.
Oh yeah, name. Yeah, just Cy. Yeah.
I watched that guy and I said I would vote for him for president. By the time he got done talking, he was awesome. So that was good. And the only other thing we didn't touch on, which is fine, it's a whole other thing, is the short-term rental issue. We can go on for a while on that one, but that is something that we still needs work. That's not over. And so now that the season's done, once the election's over, we'll get back at that.
Yeah, short-term rentals is certainly, I think it's. Do you think? Well, there are a lot of things that the town collectively could attack or look at together, and short-term rentals is certainly one of them. Do you think there's what's the best way to move forward with things like that as an island wide? Because if Newport is, let's say they're completely blocking short-term rentals, but Middletown is allowing them and Portsmouth isn't, it hurts everybody or helps everybody.
No, well, that's a very good point. And one, to say that we all need to be on the same page would be a whole lot stronger if we, one of the first things we heard about was that, Newport's changing their ordinance. So now the push is going to be into Middletown. So now we really got to do something, or else, what's going to happen? So if we could all get on the same page, that would be huge. And the hard part, and again, not to go into it forever, but the hard part is you listen to the people that do short-term rentals, and their whole cry is you've got to be fair. We're a short-term rental versus anybody else that's using their house. So if you put your trash out and don't bring your trash back in, well, everybody has to do that. It's hard to single them out. So, and quality of life, which is a lot of what it comes down to, is very difficult to put in an ordinance. You can't say, well, we really got to look at it, and the legalese drives me crazy. I mean, there's always an angle that somebody can take to, I'm not good that way. I'm more, you're not being reasonable, so there should be a consequence, but you can't do that. So, so need some work.
Yeah, it just makes me wonder if there's more opportunity for all three councils to get together and try to take on the three biggest issues that are affecting the island.
No, let's make that happen, Ryan.
Hey, there needs to be so many public notices and so many. Oh my word, that would be.
Yeah. And you say that, and just back to the regionalization thing. So I'm trying to hand out these pamphlets at soccer, and I get it. I got 4 boys. I know the soccer thing. I don't want to listen to some guy give me a pamphlet when I'm trying to watch my kid play. So, and then if I put it up on the counter, people aren't going to pick it up and read it. I mean, very few. There are some. I went to like Shaw's and Stop and Shop because I always remember, you pick up the newspaper and, can I put this up on the window? Well, they don't have community bulletin boards anymore. There's not a place where you can, at least I haven't found him yet. I'm still trying to do it, but we have all these ways, all this technology to get information out there, but it just doesn't seem to be, it doesn't seem as easy as it should be. It sounds like, you should be able to, everywhere you turn, but the people you talk to about regionalization or stuff like that, there's a lot of unknowing. So, yeah, I don't know.
Well,
this certainly helps, though.
That's it. Hey, you are one of 9 candidates for the 7 seats. One more time, or remind us again why you want people to fill that bubble in next to your name.
Why do I want people to fill that bubble in? So I'm of the opinion that I am not the smartest guy up there. I don't understand the budget, every line item, all those types of things, but I do. I'm the working guy, so I get that. I bring that piece to the table. And if that is something that you feel needs to be heard, then check me off. And if you don't, then that's the way the Democratic Society is supposed to work. So we'll see.
There you go. And early voting starts next week, October 19th. And of course, big election day, November 8th. Tom, we wish you the very best of luck. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Ryan. Have a great day.
All right. That is Tom Welch, and he is a incumbent. He is currently serves as vice president of Middletown Town Council, and he is seeking re-election. And you can visit, see your ballot, vote.ri.gov, put in your Middletown address, and that will come up. Tom mentioned the interview with some of the Newport candidates. You can find all of those on whatsupnewp.com. Last week, we focused on Newport School Committee as well as Newport City Council. We also had some candidates with some interviews with some other candidates, all available on whatsupnoop.com. You can watch these, listen to these, and find them all there. Compare it and contrast your candidates. I want to thank Tom again for joining us this morning, and we will do this again soon. For the full schedule of interviews, visit whatsupnoop.com. Thanks for watching.